Welcome to Hockey Canada's Skill Development Series. This series of videos encompasses the many skills, techniques, and strategies that have become integral to playing the game of hockey at every level. In this first part of the series, we're going to cover the most essential skill in hockey, skating. The ability to skate efficiently and effectively is the foundation for all other hockey skills. To put it another way, skating is to hockey what running is to soccer. A player's skating ability is directly related to their performance in puck control, shooting, and checking. Because of this fundamental connection, any time spent on improving a player's skating abilities is an investment that will improve all aspects of their game. This DVD contains a series of progressive drills designed to develop and improve any player's skating ability. It'll also help you better understand, teach, and perform the key elements of balance and agility, edge control, starting and stopping, forward skating, backward skating, and turning and crossovers. Mastering the drills and techniques on this DVD will not only improve a player's skating abilities, but also greatly enhance their enjoyment of the great game of hockey. When it comes to proper skating technique, balance and agility go hand in hand. Balance is essential to the development of all hockey skills. A player who has developed good balance will be better at skating, puck control, shooting, and checking. Agility is something a player becomes more adept at as one's skating skills are developed. Agile skaters are more evasive because they have the ability to move laterally while still maintaining their speed.
The basic stance. Balance starts with the basic stance, or ready position. This is the starting position for many of the basic skating skills. In the forward stance, the player's feet should be shoulder-width apart with the toes pointing slightly outward. Knees and ankles are flexed at approximately 45 degrees. The upper body leans slightly forward with the weight on the balls of the feet. Make sure the head is up and eyes are looking forward. With the stick held in both hands, the blade should lay flat on the ice and slightly to the side of the body. The backward stance is very similar, except the body is slightly more upright and the weight should be more to the front of the foot. Getting up from the ice. Getting up from the ice is one of the first skills players need to learn. Players should rise to a kneeling position, then raise one knee forward to act as a brace. With both hands on the stick, push down on the raised knee and lift up to the ready position. Balance on one foot. Being able to balance on one foot is a fundamental skating skill. As with the basic stance, the player must keep the knees and ankles flexed to maintain balance. However, all of the player's weight will be transferred to the 1 foot remaining on the ice. Make sure the stick is out in front of the body so that it cannot be used as a means of support. Jumping 1 foot. Once players can balance on 1 foot, they can progress to jumping up and down. Keeping constant flexion in the knee will help to develop greater agility and leg strength. Gliding, arm pump. Gliding using the arms to propel the body is not a skill typically used in hockey, but it does show players the importance of using the arms in skating and the extra speed that a strong pumping action of the arms can generate. Gliding on 2 skates. Gliding on 2 skates can happen many times throughout a practice or game. It is usually the preliminary movement in which the player begins striding, turning, or stopping. Gliding on both skates is simply a moving hockey stance. Performing this drill backward is basically the same, with the exception that the body will be in a more upright position. Gliding on one skate, forward. Learning to balance and glide on one foot is essential because proper skating technique requires that one foot must be under the body's center of gravity at all times. This is done by maintaining the basic stance on the supporting leg while picking up the opposite foot. Gliding on one skate, backward. Gliding backward on one skate is essentially the same as gliding forward, with the main difference being that the body is more upright instead of bent slightly forward. Again, the supporting leg is kept in the basic stance position, with the skate blade flat on the ice, not the edges. Gliding with knee bend. The next progression for gliding on one foot is to add a deep knee bend. This will not only help develop balance, it also prepares the player for forward striding. Gliding, one foot, toe on puck. Placing the toe on a puck helps players develop their balance while moving. When players perform this exercise, they are constantly changing their balance points. Therefore, they must keep their weight on the planted foot. Lateral crossovers, step and plant. Lateral crossovers are an excellent way for players to learn and develop their balance. Proper execution of this drill requires that the feet and shoulders remain perpendicular to the direction of the movement. It is important that the upper body is kept as still and level as possible throughout the drill. To maintain balance during this drill, it is critical to keep the blades flat on the ice. Lateral crossovers, continuous. The next progression for lateral crossovers is to take 3 steps in each direction. Make sure to finish and hold in the ready position before changing directions. Increasing the speed of this drill will become easier with practice. Lateral crossovers, over stick. The final progression of lateral crossovers is to perform continuous steps over a stick. This adds an obstacle for the players to step over, and it's an excellent way to develop balance, agility, and coordination. Shoot the duck, forward and backward. Shooting the duck both forward and backward is a difficult skill requiring leg strength, flexibility, and great balance. The key to this drill is that the player must lean forward as they are bending down. Not only is it a great exercise for many other skills, but players will have fun trying to master it as well.
Understanding the basic edges of a skate blade is an important step to learning and teaching proper skating technique. Mastery of one's edges is what separates the average skaters from the great ones. The skate blade has 2 edges, the inside edge, which is primarily used for pushing or driving, and the outside edge, which is used mostly in turning and stopping. Players need to master all 4 of their edges if they want to become great skaters.
Figure 8s, forward, inside edge. Figure 8s on the inside edge are a fundamental method for players to learn inside edge control. When performing this exercise, the emphasis should not be placed on speed, but rather the importance of the knee bend and a controlled upper body. Younger players may find it easier to place their stick on the ice to better maintain their balance. Figure 8s, forward, outside edge. Executing figure 8s on the outside edge is more difficult than on the inside. But again, a deep knee bend and quiet upper body will help to develop better edge control. Figure eights, backward, inside edge. Performing backward figure eights on the inside edge requires a quiet upper body, a strong push with a non-gliding leg, and a deep knee bend with the support leg. Mastering this skill is critical to executing many of the other skills built on this movement, such as backward crossovers, open pivots, and changing directions to a forward skate. Figure eights, backward, outside edge. The next progression for backward figure eights requires that the majority of the weight is placed on the ball of the foot while still maintaining a deep knee bend. It is also important that a player has a quiet upper body and is leaning slightly forward. This will enable the player to remain in control and ready for any subsequent movements. One leg weaving, forward. Weaving on one leg allows players to feel the inside and outside edges of their skates. The age and skill level of a player can have a noticeable effect on their ability to perform this exercise. Younger players tend to move from inside edge to outside edge as they turn. But because they're using more of a gliding motion, they will typically lose momentum. Older players will usually create propulsion and pick up speed by bending their knee going into the turn and then straightening their leg coming out of the turn. One leg weaving, backward. Weaving on one leg backward is even harder for players to master than the same skill forward. When weaving backward, it's necessary to place pressure more on the toe in order to maintain balance, versus putting pressure on the heel when going forward. Typically, younger players won't have the balance or leg strength to master this skill backward, but it will come with time and practice. Forward scissor skate, small. Small forward scissor skates are a great exercise for working on outside edge control and coordination. It is critical for the players to keep their glide leg bent and to only use their outside edges when performing this skill. Forward scissor skate, large. The technique for this skill is similar to the small scissor skate, with the main difference being that the glide is held much longer. This helps players get a better feel for their outside edges. Backward scissor skate, small. A difficult skill to master, the backward scissor skate requires a great deal of agility due to its unnatural skating motion. Again, it's a great exercise for outside edge control, as almost the entire skill is performed on the outside edges of the skate. The body should be leaning slightly forward, and the support leg needs to be bent in order to maintain balance. Backward scissor skate, large. Increasing the length of the glide is the next progression of the backward scissor skate. To maintain balance during this exercise, the upper body must face forward and remain square. It is important to maintain a deep knee bend. Slalom, alternating lead foot. Performing slaloms by alternating the lead foot is another great exercise for improving edge control. It's important that each time they go into a turn, the player's feet exchange front and back positions and never leave the ice. Slalom, sticks on ice. Another good exercise for edge control is the slalom with sticks on ice. Players need to focus on using a deep knee bend to keep them moving. It's an exaggerated move, but it helps players master the proper slalom technique. The sticks are there to prevent any momentum that may be gained by forward striding.
The start is the foundation of the skating stride, and the ability to start quickly should be one of the first skating skills mastered by young hockey players. A good start is key for players to get a head start on their opponents. If you're going to learn to start fast, they also need to know how to stop fast. For safety reasons, the stop should be one of the first skills taught, as stops are essential in avoiding checks, shaking off opponents, or just changing directions. The ability to start and stop quickly is crucial to reacting and adjusting to the rapid changes that can develop during any hockey game.
T-start. The T-start is normally the first start taught to beginners because it's relatively easy to demonstrate and explain. The upper body should lean slightly forward with the weight over the drive leg. The drive leg should also be rotated outwardly, approximately 90 degrees to the direction of travel. The start is initiated by thrusting off the inside edge of the drive skate with full extension of the hip, knee, and ankle. Front V-start. The front V-start is an explosive start that allows a player to quickly reach maximum speed. The player's center of gravity should be shifted forward with weight placed on the inside edges of the toes of the skates. The heels of the skates need to be close together with the knees and ankles flexed. As the number of strides increases, the player takes progressively longer strides, pushing more to the side rather than to the back. The body should gradually straighten up as speed increases. Crossover start. The crossover start is basically a V-start preceded by a crossover action of the leg. Players will usually use a crossover start when they need to start rapidly, either from a 2-foot parallel stop or from a stationary position. It is also used when a player is perpendicular to the direction they wish to go. Backward C-cut start. A backward C-cut is used to initiate backward skating from a stationary position without turning one's back to oncoming opponents. Starting from the basic stance, the heel of the driving leg should be turned outward as far as possible. The thrust of this start comes from the toe of the skate. Backward crossover start. The backward crossover start is a very effective method of accelerating rapidly from a stationary position. Starting from the basic backward stance, the hips and trunk turn slightly toward the direction of the crossover, while the head remains facing forward. The outside leg starts with a C-cut and then crosses over in front of the inside leg. 1 o'clock, 11 o'clock stops. This skill gets its name because the right skate pushes out toward a 1 o'clock position and the left skate toward an 11 o'clock position. To properly execute this stopping technique, the heel of the skate needs to be turned outward and the toe turned inward. The players should maintain a deep knee bend while keeping their back straight and their weight on the balls of their feet. Outside leg stop. The outside leg stop is a common stop used by many beginner skaters. To execute this stop correctly, the player's weight must be on the inside edge of their outside leg. Their inside leg should be held above the ice, ready to initiate a new stride. 2-foot parallel stop. The 2-foot parallel stop is an excellent way to stop quickly. At the beginning of the stop, the knees should be bent beyond the toes of the skates and the weight distributed as evenly as possible over both skates. There should not be any upward extension of the body before rotating, as this makes it difficult to apply sufficient pressure to the blade. Inside leg, outside edge stop. The inside leg, outside edge stop is primarily used as a learning exercise for players having difficulty with their outside edge in the 2-foot parallel stop. This stop is rarely seen in game situations because it's very difficult to execute at high speed, and it leaves the player in an awkward position to initiate another skill. One-leg backward stop. The one-leg backward stop is commonly used because upon completion, the player is in a forward T-start position. To properly perform this maneuver, the body should be bent forward with the weight of the body on the rear leg. At the end of the stop, the knee of the back leg should be flexed and ready to move in any direction. Two-leg backward stop. The two-leg stop is the most efficient and commonly used backward stop. It permits quick stopping and resistance against an opposing force, while placing the player in an excellent position to initiate a forward start. At the end of the stop, the toes should be pointed outward, and the skates should be in a V position.
If there's one skill that separates good hockey players from great ones, it's skating. Good technique allows a player to skate harder and faster with less effort, thus allowing the player to perform to their maximum potential without having to think about the mechanics of skating. The efficiency of the skating stride depends on applying a few fundamental principles to develop quickness, speed, and strength, which are all essential to being a better skater.
C-cuts, left foot, right foot. C-cuts are a basic skill that can help younger players with their forward skating. The C-cut is an important skill to master because it's a necessary component of many other skills, such as crossovers and propulsion while turning. The basic C-cut involves using one leg as the glide leg and the other as the drive leg. The drive leg must recover directly under the body next to the glide leg. C-cuts, alternating. The next progression of the basic C-cut is to alternate the legs. C-cuts, both feet. The third progression of basic C-cuts is for both feet to perform the action simultaneously. C-cuts, pulling partner. Having the players pair up and pull each other while performing C-cuts is an easy way to offer resistance. If done properly, the added resistance will help players perform a more precise C-cut, allowing them to concentrate on doing the technical aspects of the skill correctly. Slalom, C-cuts narrow. Slalom C-cuts narrow is a similar motion to downhill skiing. It is in fact an unnatural skating motion because the feet are always together and parallel. This is a great skill for helping players develop their coordination and achieve better control of their skates. Slalom C-cuts wide. This exercise is similar to slalom C-cuts narrow. The difference is a wider pattern for the slalom, and the C-cut is more exaggerated. Slalom, pulling partner. Using the slalom technique while pulling a partner is a great exercise that adds resistance while also building strength. C-cuts, back foot, cross-unders. This combination skill involves two actions. The first is a simple C-cut on the inside edge. The second is a C-cut on the outside edge of the same skate. This second action is a difficult skill because creating the additional propulsion requires that the entire skate blade remain in contact with the ice, while the outside edge of the heel is driving downward. C-cuts, alternate cross-unders. The next progression of C-cuts is both feet taking turns performing the C-cut and cross-under. C-cuts, heel only. A good exercise for improving quickness of the feet is to perform C-cuts with the heel of the skate. By concentrating on only using their heels, players can greatly improve the strength of their push. Forward striding. Taking fast, short strides helps to develop powerful skating. The basic forward stride is derived from a sequential extension of the hip, knee, and ankle in a lateral thrust. The knee of the gliding leg must be fully flexed, extending beyond the toe of the skate. The weight of the body needs to transfer over the striding leg at the beginning of each stride. The ankle and foot of the striding leg should be completely extended to the tip of the toe. The skate of the recovery leg should be kept low to the ice, passing under the center of gravity. It is common to see younger players use a high heel kick after the stride, but this makes the recovery time longer. As speed increases, longer and less frequent strides may be taken to maintain speed. Exaggerated stride. The exaggerated stride is a good technique for getting players to slow down and lengthen the movements of the forward stride. This not only helps them get a better feel for how these movements should flow together, but they can also put more focus on the push, glide, and recovery stages. Forward striding, pulling partner. Forward striding while pulling or pushing a partner is another technique that will force a longer stride. The player doing the pulling typically leans forward more, which causes them to use longer strides. The resistance also helps build leg strength. Weave, crossovers with pylons. A good exercise for working on edge control is performing crossovers while weaving around pylons. It helps players concentrate on gliding on their outside edges, and the pylons keep the players in controlled movements where speed is not important. Weave, crossunders with pylons. This drill can be used to help develop edge control. It promotes agility and coordination. The feet are constantly crossing each other and alternating pushes off the inside and outside edges. Forward striding, hands on stick on ice. This is a good technique for both starting and forward striding because keeping the hands on the ice forces a strong toe push and a long stride. As players further develop, they should be able to stand up from this position in one motion and continue on in a full stride. Stride and bend. The stride and bend technique is a great exercise for developing leg strength and balance. As players continue to practice this technique, they will naturally adopt the deep knee bend and incorporate it into their normal stride. Jump stride. The jump stride is a plyometric skating technique used to develop agility, leg strength, and an explosive stride. The key to this exercise is to jump from the inside edge of one skate to the inside edge of the other without taking a stride between jumps.
Backward skating is a key element in responding to hockey's constant changes in position and direction. All players need to master backward skating, not just the defense. Everyone needs to skate backwards efficiently and effectively if they want to become good, well-rounded skaters.
C-cuts, left foot, right foot. C-cuts are a basic skill that can help players develop their backward skating. The C-cut is an important skill to master because it's a necessary component of many other skills, such as crossovers and propulsion while turning. The basic C-cut involves using one leg as the glide leg and the other as the drive leg. After a strong push by the toe of the skate, the drive leg must recover directly under the body next to the glide leg. C-cuts alternating. Alternating C-cuts are the foundation of backward striding. It is important that players maintain a quiet upper body and resist leaning too far forward. Maintaining a deep knee bend in the glide leg allows a long thrust from the drive leg. Players should also avoid swinging their hips from side to side. Swinging the hips causes an improper transfer of weight from one skate to the other. Gliding on two skates, backward. Gliding backward on two skates is simply a moving backward stance. It isn't often done during a game, but players will usually use this technique when they're either relaxed or not involved in the play. Gliding on one skate, backward. Gliding backward on one skate is the preliminary move for many other skills. As in forward skating, the basic principle in backward skating is that one foot must be under the body's center of gravity at all times. The blade of the glide skate should be flat on the ice, not on the edges. Slalom, C-cuts narrow. Adding a narrow slalom pattern when performing C-cuts is great for helping players develop their coordination and achieve better control of their skates. Slalom, C-cuts wide. This exercise is similar to slalom C-cuts narrow. The difference is that the slalom will cover more of the ice and the C-cut is more exaggerated. C-cuts pulling partner. Having the players pair up and pull each other while performing C-cuts is an easy way to offer resistance. If done properly, the added resistance will help players perform a more precise C-cut, allowing them to concentrate on doing the technical aspects of the skill correctly. Slalom pulling partner. Using the slalom technique while pulling a partner is another method of adding resistance while also building strength. It may be useful to have the partner give instructions such as head up or eyes forward. Slalom, alternating lead foot. Just as in forward skating, alternating the lead foot when performing a slalom is another great exercise for improving edge control. It is important that each time a player goes into a turn, that the feet exchange front and back positions and never leave the ice. This is a great exercise for developing agility and coordination. Backward sculling. Backward sculling is simply combining a series of C-cuts. A quiet upper body without excessive arm movement is the key to performing this drill efficiently. Jump stride backward. The jump stride is a plyometric skating technique used to develop agility, leg strength, and an explosive stride. The key to this exercise is to jump from the inside edge of one skate to the inside edge of the other without taking a stride between jumps.
When changing directions, turns, pivots, and crossovers are more energy efficient than stops and starts. Because of the nature of today's game, players need to learn to turn equally well in both directions. Proficiency in these skills will enable a player to react more quickly to whatever's going on in the ice.
Glide turns. Glide turns typically happen when a player is either not involved in the play or is getting ready to react to what is happening around them. It begins with the skates shoulder width apart and is initiated by the head and shoulders. Using a proper knee bend, the body must lean in the direction of the turn. It is important to follow the stick into the turn. Tight turns. Tight turns permit players to change direction in a very limited space while expending the least amount of energy. During a turn, pressure should be kept on the outside edge of the lead foot and the inside edge of the following foot. The weight should be distributed as evenly as possible on both skates. By keeping the skates close together and the center of gravity ahead of the skates, players will be able to cross over after the turn and accelerate rapidly. Players should learn to master tight turns on both sides of their body. Tight turn. Dive into turn. This exercise involves 4 tight turns, 2 in each direction. Because the pylons are staggered, the player has to dive into each turn. It's an easy drill to set up for players to practice their tight turns as well as their speed and agility coming out of a turn. 360s left and right. 360s to the left or right are essentially tight turns without using a pylon for guidance. Players should concentrate on leading with their front foot and digging it into the ice during the turn. It is important to lean into the turn and then accelerate out of the turn with 1 or 2 quick crossovers. .360s alternating. Alternating 360s not only helps to develop a player's tight turns, but also their speed and agility after changing directions. Players should master the ability to perform tight turns in both directions, as well as their ability to pick up speed following the turn. C-cuts around circle, outside foot. The motion for performing C-cuts around a circle with the outside foot is essentially the same for C-cuts in a straight line. The only difference is that the glide leg uses the circle as a guide. It's the push from the inside edge of the outside foot that propels the player in a circular motion. The heel should turn outward and push into the ice, with the recovery occurring close to the glide foot. C-cuts, a round circle, inside foot. When performing C-cuts around a circle with the inside foot, it is the push from the inside edge of the inside foot that propels the player in a circular motion. The power comes from turning the heel outward and pushing it into the ice. C-cuts, a round circle, both feet. A combination of the previous 2 exercises. This is not a natural skating movement, but it does help to develop a strong push equally from each skate. C-cuts, a round circle, cross-unders. This is a preliminary movement for the crossover, where the inside leg extends and pushes off. It begins with a normal C-cut, but instead of recovering next to the glide leg, the drive leg crosses behind the glide foot and executes a C-cut with the outside edge of the skate. The cross-under motion is how players can develop extra power from their inside drive leg. Crossovers, forward. Crossovers are a method of turning while maintaining or picking up speed. The crossover begins by extending the outside foot back and to the side. The player then pushes off the inside edge and brings the outside foot over and in front of the inside leg. At this point, the inside foot also extends sideways and backward by pushing off the outside edge. The steps are repeated as the player continues to turn. Crossovers, grab stick low. Grabbing the stick low while performing crossovers is a great exercise to help players who don't have a deep enough knee bend during their crossovers. This positioning helps the players create a stronger push and also forces greater flexion in the knees. Crossovers, 3 quick, left and right. This drill is a great way to improve a player's agility and foot speed. By doing 3 quick crossovers to the left and right, the player is constantly changing directions. Younger players often forget to complete the crossover when attempting this exercise with speed. However, note that technique is more important than speed when performing this drill. C-cuts, a round circle, outside foot, backward. Performing C-cuts around a circle with the outside foot is essentially the same when going backward as it is forward. Again, it is the push from the inside edge of the outside foot that propels the player in a circular motion. The power comes from turning the heel outward and pushing the toe into the ice. C-cuts, a round circle, inside foot, backward. Just as in doing C-cuts with the outside foot, this drill has the inside foot following the same pattern. The heel must turn outward, and a strong push with the toe will initiate the arc-like motion. The drive leg should then recover next to the glide leg. C-cuts, a round circle, cross-unders, backward. Just as with the cross-under movement in forward skating, the cross-under going backward is designed to isolate the inside foot and generate more power from the outside edge of the toe. Crossovers, backward. Crossovers backward are usually used only by defensemen during games, but it's important that all players are able to perform them equally as well as forward crossovers. The skill starts by picking up the outside foot and bringing it across and in front of the inside foot. At the same time, the inside foot extends back and to the side, creating a pushing force with both feet. The outside foot, which is now on the inside of the body, pushes outward. Crossovers, backward reaching. This technique helps to increase a player's speed skating backward. When a player initiates a crossover move, the outside foot should reach out as far as possible. Once the toe is planted, the reaching aspect forces the player to pull the rest of the body to the outside. This creates more power and momentum for the player to perform additional crossovers. Crossovers, high and low. This drill develops a great deal of foot speed by performing 3 or 4 quick crossovers in one direction and then 3 or 4 in the other. It is done around the top of one circle and then the bottom of another. Performing the drill in this way is more relevant to an actual game situation than performing crossovers around a complete circle. Crossovers, 4-pylon race. A great way for getting maximum effort out of players in practice is to set up a relay race or competition-style drill This drill consists of 4 pylons placed in a square, with 1 player at each pylon. On the coach's signal, the players take off in the same direction and try to catch the person in front of them. The pylons should be placed so that the players are constantly crossing over. Backward, 1 foot stop, and T-start. This skill is a great way to transition quickly from backward skating to forward skating. As the player is about to stop, it is important for the skate blade to rotate outward before positioning itself 90 degrees to the desired stopping direction. The weight of the body should be on the front portion of the rear skate blade. This enables the player to dig deeply into the ice and get in position for a forward T-start. Pivots, backward to forward and forward to backward. Backward to forward and forward to backward pivots allow a player to change directions without modifying speed. Before a player performs either of these pivots, their weight must be over the glide leg. To make a backward to forward pivot, a player must rotate their drive skate 180 degrees outward and place it down on the ice. Following a simultaneous rotation of the head, shoulders, and hips, the weight is then transferred rapidly to the rotating skate, while the glide skate rotates 180 degrees, becoming parallel to the rotating skate. To make a forward to backward pivot, the actions are similar, except the player will need to rotate their drive skate almost 270 degrees. Players will find it easier to first master the backward to forward pivot before they can fully master the forward to backward pivot. Pivots, open and reverse. These types of pivots are used to change direction when carrying momentum into a turn. The open pivot occurs when a player is skating backward, then with the weight on the inside leg, reaches forward and sideways with the outside leg to change the momentum from backward to forward. In the reverse pivot, a player skates forward and then turns the feet as if to stop, but instead leads with the heels parallel to each other in a short circular glide. Heel-to-heel glide. The heel-to-heel glide is a skill that is not performed very often, but it can be used as an escape move to avoid contact or sneak through a narrow opening. To perform this move, the player picks 1 foot up and rotates it 180 degrees, then places it back on the ice so that the heels are facing each other. Players will need to have great balance control and flexibility in the hips in order to perform this maneuver. Mohawk on circles, open. This is a progression in pivoting that enables a player to always be facing the play. In performing this skill, the player picks up the inside foot and rotates it 180 degrees, then places it back on the ice so that the heels are facing each other. The other foot is then brought up and rotated 180 degrees so the feet are once again parallel. Mohawk on circles, open and reverse. This next progression of Mohawk on circles is used to increase agility and foot speed by quickly exchanging the foot that carries the body's weight. It's an important skill that allows players to change directions without losing speed. Skating agility drill, number 1. This racing drill can help players develop quick feet. The players will need to perform a quick start, a forward 2-foot stop, a backward 2-foot stop, and crossovers, all in the same drill. This is a great drill for developing a player's agility and overall conditioning. Skating agility drill number 2. This is another drill that can be used to develop quick feet. It incorporates many different skating skills in a confined area.
Skating is the most important skill in hockey. Strong fundamentals and continuous practice and improvement will enable skaters to become proficient in the skills necessary to play the game. As players gain confidence in their skating abilities, they'll begin to see improvements in all aspects of their game, which ultimately leads to a more positive experience and more enjoyment for the game of hockey.
Hockey Canada's Player Development Pyramid has been designed as a guideline to help every amateur coach in Canada develop their seasonal plans, no matter what age or skill level they're coaching. Within this pyramid, there are two different flows of progression that form these guidelines. The first progression is based on the different skills that players need to learn, working from technical skills at the base of the pyramid to individual tactics, then team tactics, team play systems, and finally strategy at the peak. The second progression, based on the age and skill level of the team, flows diagonally from the initiation program at the bottom to novice, then atom, pee-wee, bantam, and finally midget. Now, let's go back and take a closer look at each of the levels in the first progression. At the bottom of the pyramid is the technical skills level. These are the fundamental skills that form the foundation of every player's development in the game of hockey. Encompassed within this level are the skills of skating, puck control, shooting and scoring, and checking. After demonstrating the ability to execute the technical skills, players can then progress to the next level, individual tactics, where they begin to develop their read and react skills, otherwise known as hockey sense. As we move up the pyramid, we see that players begin performing drills to develop their understanding of team tactics and team play systems. In both levels, players learn how to apply their individual skills and hockey sense to a team game. At the peak of the pyramid is strategy, where teams learn styles of play to combat the opposition. Coaches determine these strategies based on their own philosophy, the age of the players, and the skill level of the team. As players become older and the competitive level increases, more complex game strategies can be taught. With a better understanding of how the first progression works, let's now integrate it with the second progression. Together, they show the amount of time throughout the year that coaches should devote to various skills during practices, based on the age and skill level of the players. At the base of the second progression is the initiation program. Because players at this level are very young and just learning the game, Hockey Canada recommends that most of the season's practices be devoted to the fundamental skills. As shown here by the pie chart, 85% of the year should be spent on developing the team's technical skills, with the other 15% allocated to individual tactics. When players reach the novice level, coaches can add drills to introduce team tactics. Note that technical skills now reduces to 75% of the year's practices. Individual tactics stays at 15%. And the remaining 10% is now allocated to team tactics. At the atom level, Hockey Canada recommends reducing the amount of time that players practice technical skills to 50%, while increasing individual tactics to 20% and increasing team tactics to 15%. Players should also begin to learn team play systems. 10% of their practice time should be allocated to these skills, with the remaining 5% used to introduce the concepts of strategy. For the levels of pee-wee, bantam, and midget, practices should focus on reinforcing the technical skills with a more balanced approach, while also teaching a variety of individual and team skills. For the pee-wee program, 45% of practice time throughout the year should be devoted to technical skills, 25% to individual tactics, 10% to team tactics, 10% to team play, and 10% to strategy. The recommendation for Bantam is to spend 40% on technical skills, 15% on individual tactics, 20% on team tactics, 15% on team play, and 10% on strategy. And finally, at the midget level, Hockey Canada recommends 35% be devoted to technical skills, 15% to individual tactics, 20% to team tactics, 15% to team play, and 15% to strategy. It's important to note here that all players will develop at different rates. Coaches will have to assess players individually to ensure that each receives the attention and direction needed to sufficiently develop their skills before advancing to the next level.
I just think it's important to have young people, whether it be male or female, to get exposed to different things. And I think that your hockey camp should start. I mean, I know these guys start in June, July, and they have to get picked for their team, and there's pressure, and there's this and that. I just don't think that it happen that way. Is it going to change? Probably not, because that's just the way it is. But I think that they need to be exposed to different things. It gives their muscles a chance to develop. It gives their mind a chance to stay rested. It's like anything else in life. If you're not fresh and ready to do something, you're not going to excel at it. And I think too much hockey can sometimes be counterproductive.
I think you have to think what is best for the players, and I think the only way you can find out what's best for the players is by getting to know your players and finding out what the group needs and what they need, not only tactically but emotionally as well, whether they need a fun practice or a teaching practice or a hard practice, and I think you get those reads by knowing your players, and you have to get to know your players and find out what makes them tick.
I think one of the things that's probably misused a little bit is when you're working on quality practice time, there's no substitution for scrimmaging or game-like situations. I think that if you want players to work in a game-like atmosphere and perform under game-like situations, you've got to put them in there. I think we all have access to a number of drill books, quality practice plans, everything. But creativity is through scrimmaging, and I don't think at times we give enough time for that type of performance where the players are allowed to play the game of hockey in an atmosphere that then leads into actual competition. So I think sometimes we spend a little bit too much time working on the drills and not allowing the focus of the actual competition to be practiced too. So if I had any suggestion, it would be to put game-like competition and scrimmage into every practice that you plan.
Looking back on my childhood, I was very fortunate to have a lot of support from my mom and my grandparents and my dad to making the game fun, just to coming and to being in the game and cheering me on and having support in the stands. And I think, you know, I look back, one of the things I cherish the most is that my family really never told me when I was younger that I had a bad game. I mean, I knew I had a bad game. You know, I'd like to score goals and get points, and we'd like to win and things, but they were just really very positive, and they let the coaches tell me those things. And you know, I look back, I can appreciate no matter what, my mom just, you know, no matter how the game went, good game, you know, and I remember arguing with her sometimes, and I didn't have a good game, but, you know, it was nice that she thought it that way and just came as a positive influence and just there to cheer me on.
I think it's really imperative, a couple things, that one, you're very supportive of your child. Kids love to look in the stands and see their mom and dad at practice or a game, whether you're 6 years old or 26 playing in the NHL. We all love that. I think that it's really imperative that you don't make your kids practice, that kids have to enjoy it and think they're in love with it, and that's what their focus is. And then the other side of it is, burnout. Like, I'm really nervous that kids who play 12 months a year, hockey is meant to be played for 9 months. Play it as hard as you can, enjoy it, love it. And then other things that you can do in that off time, whether it's baseball, track and field, lacrosse, will all be beneficial for your hockey career. And I think if you take those factors, you'll enjoy it as a parent, and the child will love it.
Okay. What was the question again?
Hi, my name is Brett. My favorite hockey player. No, I play right lead. No, left lead. I screwed up.
These drills have helped me because. So say what? Like.
Some of the. What was I gonna say?
My name is Carson. Hi, my name is Carson Samaritani. I'm 9 years old. Oh, and I play forward, right wing.
My name is Brett Van Ost. Brett Van Ost.
I'm proud to wear this jersey because it makes me proud. Oh, I forgot what I had to say. Oh, this is hard.
You get to go on TV and it's really fun.
I'm trying not to give you any outtakes. Comment démarrer, répète.
Mastering these techniques requires a lot of practice and deliberate repetition.
Un patinateur. Un patinateur.
For safety reasons, I was going to fold my arms. Let's go. For safety reasons,
De s'exercer à de nouveaux mouvements.
balance is essential to...
Qui parle.
You come closer here.
De prendre une longueur. Oh, I screwed up on one.
Everybody likes to see that red light, though.
He screwed me up with that change in the pronunciation of the word. I'm sorry, I think I'm getting tired.
It'll help you better understand.
That was funny.
Keep going.
I can't do
it. Major Lakes Vicky. Smitty!
Dave apparently has a little bit of a fling going on, and Dave did a guest appearance on the Smooch Cam. They brought out the big heart on the billboard, and yeah, I think Dave actually, well, she had a helmet on, but I think he kind of stuck his tongue in her ear or something like that. I'm not sure. It wasn't quite an official smooch because she had the cage on, which is probably good for her.
Smitty, over here, bud. Yeah, you can be in the corner.
Okay, yeah, Farrells, you're the boy. You're the guy. Farley, okay. Can you do this now? Okay, let's see if he does it.
Stay off that stuff.
Look out, look out!
They're all 8, 10, 12 years old. They'll learn to deal. I mean, certainly my mom and dad told me early on that I wasn't good enough to make it to the NHL, so we all need a reality check once in a while, and hopefully they'll learn to wear loud shorts in the future as well. We haven't tried yet.
All around like this, okay?
Well, yesterday he had the red shorts, the red shirt, and that crazy overshirt he had on. The only thing he was missing was the big red clown shoes, and then we had a perfect outfit.
When we've asked people sort of what's been their maybe scariest moment, a couple kids said jean shorts.
Those shorts, yeah, we're going to try and maybe steal from them and get rid of after this shoot here so it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, it's too bright, eh?
That's nice.
Dean, his hockey's like his fashion sense. Like, it's way out there.
Dean shorts were the probably the thing that'll give you the most nightmares for this week, I guess.
It was scary, all right.
I'm a terrible dancer anyway, so don't worry.
Good. Okay, one more take, Corey. Exactly the same thing. You did a great job. We're just repeating a different angle. Quick slate, everybody. Good. And action.
When we first sat down back in February, March and said, hey, we're gonna, come up to Edmonton and we're gonna shoot the skills videos. As we started getting into this with meetings and conference calls and looking at the amount of work that was necessary to put together, 385 different skills or shots that we were gonna take, it was a lot of work in actually a short amount of time.
When the initial suggestion came from Bob Nicholson, our president, he said, you know what, we need to invest in the resources that we provide for coaches across Canada. So whatever it takes in terms of your staff time and resources to pay attention to this project. And then our team got together with Michael and Christy and we just started mapping it out.
It's a huge project. It's a project that's going to go on probably for a couple of years, 2 more years after this by the time we're done everything. But look at the amount of dollars that are being invested into helping coaches become better, which is going to help kids come better. The reality of the whole thing is it's definitely worthwhile, and it's a lot of work, a lot of hours, but it's probably been the best project that I've been involved with at Hockey Canada since I've been here.
It's been awesome. Like, you get to learn all these new things, and you wouldn't even think of some of the little things that matter.
Sometimes when you see, instructional hockey videos made, you wonder, what goes on behind the cameras and stuff. So you get to see how it's really done, so it's pretty neat.
I'm just taking care of the tapes here. As you can see, writing down the numbers. 20 tapes a day times 8 or 9 days. That's a lot of tapes.
It's a decent crew. Everybody's really good to work with, having a good time.
How are you?
Pretty good.
What's your name?
Bronson.
Bronson? Dylan, how are you doing?
How you doing, Charlie? Hi. How you doing?
Good.
Good.
You guys get to shoot at least, or just drills?
A couple.
Oh, just really nice.
There's only 14 buildings in the National Hockey League that have won Stanley Cups.
I think the very first night, some of the Oilers coaching staff dropped by with Craig Simpson and Charlie Huddy, and then the kids get an opportunity to ask them questions, and a lot of them would never get that opportunity otherwise. And some of the guys like George Larocque and Ryan Smith, they gave a lot of good messages.
No, Donnie said it's been going good out here, and that's great. But obviously playing for your country is quite an honor. It's going to be tough to swallow, but I'm going to be sitting there retired, sitting watching you guys play, and hopefully winning gold for us too. So
Ryan Smith coming in talking to the kids about not only what it takes to be a great hockey player, but life skills and attitude towards things was really a huge bonus for the kids. So, getting pictures taken with them and autographs and all that stuff, it was a pretty big deal.
That's awesome. Probably break there now.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
What's your favorite part so?
Probably meeting like George Larocque and Ryan Smith. It's good to meet people that you see on TV and talk to them for a while and get their autograph.
Probably when Ryan Smith came out today, and 'cause he's like my favorite player.
It was when the camera guy, Dave, he fell on the ice. Yeah, Dave. He's the only guy to fall actually so far on the ice.
Going out for the freestyle breakaways, taking a breakaway on the goalie out there.
Working on a project that big, every day we came, everyone was just happy to be there all the time.
On day 2, when we had our little lunch break, the little guy decided that he was going to have a big bowl of chili, and the chili found its way down the front of his white jersey, and we had to replace it. But we certainly found a nickname that stuck, and we even saw Mom and Dad calling him Chili at the end of the shoot, so it was pretty good.
The big kids are calling the little guys by their nicknames, the little guys are calling us by our nicknames, and it seems like we've been here for longer than 8 or 9 days. But at the same time, 8 or 9 days has flown by like it's gone by so fast.
Tacky t-shirt day today.
Yeah, why don't you ask the camera guy what he's wearing?
Hockey Canada, in all their wisdom, has a shirt. It's the sort of the Hawaiian Hockey Canada shirt, and it's black and red, and it's got our logo all over it. So I wore that yesterday with my red clown shorts and the big red shoes and the hat going on. So Today I walk in and all of the staff and the camera crew right on down have their Hawaiian shirts on, their tacky shirts, the sequins, everything else going. So they look great. It's great to see them. I have a howl every time I look at them. Brightens the day, so it's great.
Hockey players get to decide who has the tackiest shirt. Keith Holmes, CBC, retro with the beer shirt. And then we have Super Dave. So all hands for Keith. Who likes Keith? Okay, and for Dave? Dave wins. Hey, Dave wins.
You know, during the downtimes, the camera guys and different people, you know, the producers and editors and everything, were grabbing sticks and pucks and learning a lot of the skills that the kids were doing. And some of the kids we even spent some time teaching them how to do it. And some of the stuff is pretty hard. And to see production people out on the ice in their sneakers and scooping pucks and doing different things was just, that was pretty neat to see.
There we go. I just learned that this week.
I'm in charge of slates and snacks. It's pretty exciting. I've been drawing all sorts of pictures and cartoons and stick men.
I think that when you shoot for 8 hours straight, the time goes by really fast because everything's marked by the next slate you're waiting to see, and the creative way in which she does it. So it's real good.
You know, at first I never really noticed the slates. Or took time to look at them because, you just read it saying what the shot was going to be and what was coming up, and then all of a sudden you take a quick look up at the Jumbotron and you look over, and the little drawings and the diagrams were actually pretty creative. It's another one of those little things that made it a great activity to be involved in.
The skill demonstrations included in this DVD have been performed by players of varying age groups. Younger players will appear to have more difficulty because many of them may lack the experience and development necessary to execute these drills and maneuvers as easily and proficiently as older, more accomplished players. This is intended to help make coaches more aware of just what the reasonable expectations of players of different ages and abilities should be.
Hockey Canada has created the most extensive set of teaching resources I've ever seen. And as a player or coach, you can never know too much about the game. These DVDs will help give coaches, players, and parents an up-close look at the fundamental skills, tactics, and strategies of hockey. We all want to be the best we can be. And this set of DVDs from Hockey Canada will go a long way to helping everyone reach that goal.